Hello everyone. Today is the 30th of September. It's hard to believe that tomorrow we'll be into October. Some of the things Jesus said are also kind of hard to believe and deeply challenging. I mean, where did that love your enemies line come from? In Matthew, Jesus says, "You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you will be called children of God." In Luke, he puts it this way: "Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who ill-treat you. This is a tall order." In both versions, Jesus offers one of the big struggles of faith, especially if we have been hurt by others. Indeed, this may be one of the times we secretly prefer the God of the Old Testament, who was big into smiting and smoting, especially enemies. But I think there's a clue about how Jesus arrived at his insight in the idea that at a point in its history of theological development, some people in ancient Israel became convinced that God was at work in positive ways out in the world as well as among the chosen people. In this growing understanding, Amos dropped what we could call a thought bomb among those who believed that only they were special to God. Amos shattered their smug complacency by informing them that God was doing for the Syrians and the Ethiopians, as well as for the Philistines just down the road, what God had done for the Hebrew slaves in setting them free from oppression in Egypt. Amos had the astonishing insight that God was doing exodus in different places for other peoples. The old gospel song reminds us that it is no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he can do for you. But Amos tells his fellow Israelites that what God has done for them, he can do for others, even their enemies. When you consider that for the Israelites the Exodus was the essence, the very heart and soul of what salvation was all about, you can begin to grasp what a monumental challenge all of this was. How could God be doing this for others? How could God be saving others as well as Israel? The truth was that the Philistines hated the Israelites, and the Israelites hated the Philistines right back. But if God was bringing salvation among the Philistines, then perhaps attitudes towards those Philistines needed to change. Sometime, someone, let's call him Jesus, was going to join the dots and say, love your enemies. After all, if the likes of the Philistines were also recipients of God's salvation, why, indeed how, could you hate them? The reality for us is that although God in Jesus is at work among us and folk like us, God is also at work on the other side of whatever divide we happen to be on. That should give us pause for thought, and perhaps the opportunity to hone our thinking about something we find challenging about the call of Jesus in our lives. I have an old t-shirt. By this stage, it's really old. It sums up this challenge of loving our enemies really well in just 4 short phrases. It says, no war. Our God is love. Our gospel is peace. Love your enemies. Let me leave you with a challenge today. It might be about loving your enemies. It might be about putting the interests of others ahead of our own. It might be about turning the other cheek. It might be about one of the other ways Jesus challenges us to live differently. When you have identified what the challenge is for you, do something along the lines of and following the form of what my old t-shirt does, as a summary of an aspect of faith in 4 short phrases. When you're happy with what you've done, send it to me. We'll see what we come up with together. I look forward to getting your ideas because I think in this little exercise we can really help one another focus on aspects of faith. God bless. Bye for now.